disappeared. That is what happens to people in North Korea who ask the wrong question, who tune into a foreign radio broadcast, who share a foreign film with a neighbor, who laugh at the wrong joke about the wrong person. They disappear, not metaphorically, not into prison sentences that courts hand down after public trials. They disappear, taken in the night, loaded into vehicles, transported to places that do not appear on any official map, to live, or not live, in conditions that the outside world spent decades refusing to believe could exist in the modern era. North Korea is not simply a poor country with an authoritarian government. It is something that has almost no parallel in modern human history. A totalitarian state so complete, so all-encompassing, so deeply embedded in the psychology of its own people, that it has sustained itself for over 7 decades against the economic, diplomatic, and moral pressure of virtually the entire world. And the truth about what happens inside its borders, the truth that the Kim dynasty has spent billions of dollars and incalculable human suffering to conceal, is more disturbing than most people outside North Korea have ever been allowed to understand. Stay with us, because what you are about to hear is not speculation. It is not Cold War propaganda. It is testimony from the people who lived it, who survived it, and who escaped to tell the world what they saw. Subscribe to Silent Epoch Vault, because the stories we bring you here are the ones that power spins everything to silence. The birth of the Hermit Kingdom. To understand North Korea in the present, you must understand how it came to be, and how a small, devastated peninsula became the most isolated nation on Earth. Korea has one of the longest continuous histories of any nation in the world. The Korean peninsula was home to sophisticated kingdoms, Goguryeo, Beech, Silla, Goryeo, Joseon, for over 2,000 years before the modern era. Korean culture, language, art, and philosophy developed over millennia into one of the most distinctive civilizations in East Asia. In 1910, Japan annexed Korea and subjected it to 35 years of colonial rule, a period remembered in Korea with deep trauma. Japanese colonial policy attempted to suppress Korean language, culture, and identity. Koreans were used as forced labor. Korean women were conscripted as comfort women for the Japanese military. The scars of Japanese colonialism remain politically charged on the Korean peninsula to this day. When Japan surrendered in August 1945, ending World War II, the Korean peninsula found itself divided, not by Koreans, but by the great powers that had won the war. The Soviet Union occupied the northern half of the peninsula. The United States occupied the southern half. The dividing line was drawn hastily. 2 American military officers, working with a map and limited knowledge of Korean geography, drew it along the 38th parallel in approximately 30 minutes. That line, drawn in 30 minutes by 2 men with a map, would become one of the most consequential borders in modern history. In the northern zone, the Soviet Union installed a young Korean man who had fought with Soviet forces against Japan. A man with no existing political power base in Korea, but with the ideological credentials and the personal qualities that Soviet planners believed they could work with. His name was Kim Il-sung. He was 33 years old. Kim Il-sung and the creation of a god. Kim Il-sung was, by any objective historical measure, an unlikely founder of a dynasty that would last over 70 years. He had genuine military credentials. He had fought as a guerrilla against Japanese occupation forces in Manchuria during the 1930s, reaching the rank of captain in the Soviet Red Army. But he was not a towering political figure. He was not well known in Korea. He had no independent political organization, no significant following, no established reputation among the Korean population he was now being positioned to lead. What he had was the backing of the Soviet Union. And in the political landscape of post-war Northeast Asia, that was enough. Between 1945 and 1950, Kim Il-sung consolidated power in the northern zone with Soviet assistance. Rivals were eliminated through execution, imprisonment, or exile. Political opponents were crushed. A Korean Workers' Party was established, modeled on Soviet Communist Party structures, with Kim Il-sung as its undisputed leader. But it was the Korean War, which Kim Il-sung initiated with the June 1950 invasion of South Korea, that would ultimately shape North Korea into the state it became. The Korean War lasted 3 years. It killed an estimated 3 to 4 million people, the majority of them Korean civilians. American bombing campaigns, attempting to destroy North Korea's military infrastructure, leveled virtually every major city in the north. Pyongyang was bombed so extensively that American pilots reported running out of targets. The war ended in 1953 with an armistice, not a peace treaty. Technically, the Korean War has never ended. The two Koreas remain in a state of suspended war, separated by the demilitarized zone, one of the most heavily fortified borders on Earth. For Kim Il-sung, the war's devastation, and the American role in that devastation, became the founding myth of the North Korean state. The United States was not merely a political adversary. It was the eternal enemy, the source of all suffering. The reason that North Korea must remain armed, vigilant, and sealed from the outside world. This narrative, carefully constructed, relentlessly maintained, enforced through every institution of state, became the ideological foundation on which 3 generations of the Kim dynasty would build their absolute power. The Juche ideology and the cult of personality. In 1955, Kim Il-sung introduced the concept that would become the official state ideology of North Korea. Juche. Juche, often translated as self-reliance, was a political philosophy that emphasized Korean national independence from all foreign influence, the primacy of the Korean people's own efforts and resources, and the leading role of the Korean Workers' Party, and its leader, in guiding the nation. In practice, Juche served several political functions simultaneously. It provided ideological justification for North Korea's extreme isolationism. If self-reliance was the highest political value, then dependency on foreign trade, foreign culture, or foreign ideas was not merely economically undesirable, it was ideologically treasonous. It placed Kim Il-sung at the center of the national identity. Juche was not presented as an abstract political philosophy. It was presented as the personal creation and embodiment of Kim Il-sung himself. To embrace Juche was to embrace Kim Il-sung. To question Juche was to question the nation itself. And it created a framework within which the cult of personality surrounding Kim Il-sung could be elevated from political propaganda to something approaching religious devotion. The cult of personality that the North Korean state built around Kim Il-sung, and later his son Kim Jong-il and his grandson Kim Jong-un, is unlike anything else in modern political history. Kim Il-sung was not merely presented as a great leader or a wise ruler. He was presented, gradually and with increasing intensity, as a figure of almost supernatural ability and virtue. Official biographies credited him with military victories he had not won, intellectual achievements he had not made, and personal qualities that no human being possesses. Official accounts described him as capable of commanding the weather. Stories circulated, enforced through state media, of rainbows appearing when Kim Il-sung was born, of mountains singing, of nature itself responding to his presence. In North Korean schools, children learned to thank Kim Il-sung before eating their meals, as if the food itself came from him personally rather than from the labor of the farmers who grew it. His image, the round, benevolent face, the distinctive hairstyle, the mouse suit, was placed in every public space, every school, every workplace, every home. North Koreans are required by law to wear a badge bearing the image of Kim Il-sung or Kim Jong-il over their heart at all times in public. When Kim Il-sung died in 1994, the grief displayed by North Koreans, the mass weeping, the prostration in the streets, shocked observers around the world. Some of it was certainly performative, driven by the knowledge that insufficient displays of grief could attract dangerous attention. But some of it was genuine. Generations of North Koreans had been raised to feel a devotion to Kim Il-sung that was indistinguishable, psychologically, from religious faith. He was declared, after his death, the eternal president of the Republic. North Korea's official calendar was changed. Year 1 of the new calendar was redesignated as 1912, the year of Kim Il-sung's birth. He was not merely a dead leader. He was a god. And his dynasty, his son Kim Jong-il, and his grandson Kim Jong-un, were the living representatives of that divinity. The prison camps that the world refused to see. For decades, the outside world debated whether North Korea's political prison camp system, the Kwanliso, actually existed. North Korea denied it. Consistently. Completely. With the full apparatus of state propaganda directed at any international body that raised the question. The evidence that the camps existed came slowly, painfully, through the testimony of survivors. People who had escaped North Korea and made their way, through China, through Southeast Asia, to South Korea or other countries where they could speak freely. Their accounts were dismissed by some as exaggeration, as Cold War propaganda, as the unreliable testimony of people with political axes to grind. And then the satellite photographs arrived. Starting in the early 2000s, commercially available satellite imagery began to show, unmistakably, irrefutably, large enclosed compounds in the mountains of North Korea. Compounds with guard towers, with internal fencing, with what appeared to be agricultural plots, mining operations, and residential structures consistent with forced labor facilities. The camps were real. The United Nations Commission of Inquiry on Human Rights in the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, established in 2013 and led by former Australian Judge Michael Kirby, spent a year gathering testimony from survivors, defectors, and former guards. Its final report, published in 2014, ran to 400 pages. Its conclusions were unambiguous. The commission found that North Korea had committed, and was continuing to commit, crimes against humanity. Specifically, extermination, murder, enslavement, torture, imprisonment, rape and other forms of sexual violence, forced abortion, persecution on political, religious, racial, and gender grounds, the forcible transfer of populations, the enforced disappearance of persons, and the inhumane act of knowingly causing prolonged starvation. These were not isolated incidents. They were systematic. They were ongoing. They were the result of policies established and maintained at the highest levels of the North Korean state. The Kwanliso system, the political prison camps, held an estimated 80,000 to 120,000 people at the time of the UN report. Some estimates put the figure higher. These camps held not just individuals accused of political crimes, but their families, spouses, children, parents, siblings, under a principle called yangjwa, or guilt by association. If your grandfather said something disloyal to the regime in 1960, you could be in a prison camp in 2024. The camps were divided into two main categories. Some were re-education facilities, where prisoners were subjected to forced labor, political indoctrination, and brutal punishment, but were theoretically capable of being released if they demonstrated sufficient ideological reform. Others were total control zones. These were facilities from which no one was ever released. Prisoners in total control zones were told, explicitly, that they would die there. Their children, born in the camps, would also die there. The camps were self-sustaining communities of the permanently condemned. Survivors who escaped the camps described conditions of systematic starvation, rations calculated to provide just enough calories to maintain the capacity for labor, but not enough for full health. Guards who beat prisoners for any infraction, real or imagined. Public executions used as tools of control and intimidation. Forced labor in mines, farms, and factories, in conditions that killed through exhaustion, accident, and exposure. One survivor, Shin Dong-hyuk, the only known person to have escaped from a total control zone, described being born in Camp 14, knowing nothing of the outside world, witnessing the public execution of his own mother and brother at the age of 14 for attempting to escape. He escaped in 2005 and eventually made his way to South Korea, where his testimony was documented in the book Escape from Camp 14 by journalist Blaine Harden. His story, and the stories of hundreds of other survivors, form the human record of what the North Korean state has done to its own people. The famine that the government caused and then denied. In the mid-1990s, North Korea experienced a famine of catastrophic proportions. The famine, known in North Korea as the Arduous March, killed somewhere between 240,000 and 3.5 million people. The range of estimates is itself a measure of how completely the North Korean government controlled information about the disaster. The true death toll may never be known. The causes of the famine were multiple, but they were not primarily natural. The collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991 ended the massive economic subsidies that had kept North Korea's centrally planned economy functioning. Soviet food aid, fuel, and industrial supplies, which North Korea had depended on for decades, stopped almost overnight. North Korea's agricultural system, already inefficient due to forced collectivization and mismanagement, could not compensate. Floods in 1995 and 1996 damaged crops. But the floods were not the primary cause of the famine. The primary cause was an economic and political system that had prioritized military spending over agricultural investment, that had collectivized farming in ways that destroyed productivity, and that responded to the crisis by maintaining food distribution systems that favored the military and the political elite over the civilian population. The public distribution system, the mechanism through which the North Korean state distributed food to its citizens, effectively stopped functioning for large portions of the population in the famine years. People in the cities and in politically disfavored regions received little or nothing. People ate grass, bark, roots, whatever they could find. Children died of malnutrition in numbers that stunted an entire generation. North Korean defectors who grew up during the famine years are, on average, significantly shorter than South Koreans of the same age, a direct biological consequence of childhood malnutrition. The North Korean government's response to the famine was not to reform the economic systems that had caused it. It was to maintain the existing distribution hierarchy, ensuring that the military and the political class were fed while civilians starved, and to accept limited international food aid while denying that a famine was occurring at all. Aid organizations that delivered food to North Korea during the famine years documented systematic diversion of aid from civilian populations to the military. Food intended for starving children was redirected to military units. The regime that had caused the famine used international humanitarian assistance to feed its army. The information prison. One of the most distinctive features of North Korean totalitarianism, and one of the most psychologically fascinating, is the comprehensiveness of its control over information. North Korea does not merely censor information. It attempts to create a complete alternative reality, a version of the world in which North Korea is the greatest nation on earth, its leaders are semi-divine beings of incomparable wisdom, and the outside world is a wasteland of poverty, crime, and suffering compared to which North Korean citizens should consider themselves fortunate. This alternative reality is maintained through every available instrument of state power. Education begins from the earliest years. Children in North Korean schools learn reading and mathematics using examples drawn from the lives of Kim Il-sung, Kim Jong-il, and Kim Jong-un. History is taught as a narrative in which the Kim dynasty is the central protagonist and the source of all positive developments in Korean and world history. Media is entirely state-controlled. North Korean television broadcasts approved content. news programs that present the leadership in reverential terms, cultural programming that reinforces national mythology, and carefully selected images of the outside world designed to confirm the official narrative of foreign inferiority and hostility. Radios and televisions sold in North Korea are pre-tuned to government frequencies and cannot be adjusted to receive foreign broadcasts. Possession of a radio or television capable of receiving foreign signals is a serious criminal offense. The Internet, as the outside world knows it, does not exist for ordinary North Koreans. There is a domestic intranet, Kwangmyeong, that provides access to approved content. Access to the global Internet is restricted to a tiny elite, primarily for purposes of foreign intelligence and regime propaganda. Foreign media, films, music, books, are officially banned. Possession of a foreign film can result in imprisonment. In 2021, Kim Jong-un signed a law making the distribution of foreign media punishable by death. And yet, despite all of this, the information prison is not as complete as the regime intends. USB drives smuggled across the Chinese border have brought foreign films, South Korean television dramas, and outside news into North Korea for years. A black market for foreign media exists and persists despite brutal crackdowns. North Koreans who have seen foreign films describe the experience as transformative, the first evidence, for many, that the official narrative of outside world inferiority is not merely exaggerated but comprehensively false. The regime understands the threat that information represents. Its increasingly severe punishments for media possession are a measure of how seriously it takes that threat. The nuclear program and the world held hostage. North Korea's nuclear weapons program is the element of its behavior that most directly threatens the outside world, and the element that has most consistently frustrated every international attempt to change the regime's behavior. North Korea began pursuing nuclear weapons technology in the 1950s and 1960s, with Soviet and Chinese assistance. Its program accelerated through the 1970s and 1980s as it became clear that conventional military power alone could not guarantee the regime's survival against a United States that maintained a significant military presence in South Korea. The logic of nuclear weapons from the North Korean perspective is straightforward. No country that possesses nuclear weapons has ever been subjected to regime change by external military force. The United States invaded Iraq. It did not invade Pakistan. The United States participated in the overthrow of Muammar Gaddafi in Libya, who had voluntarily given up his nuclear program. It has not invaded nuclear-armed North Korea. The lesson Kim Jong-un has drawn from these examples, and has stated explicitly, is that nuclear weapons are the only reliable guarantee of regime survival. North Korea conducted its first nuclear test in 2006. Since then, it has conducted 5 additional tests, progressively developing more powerful weapons. By the mid-2010s, North Korea had demonstrated the capability to produce miniaturized nuclear warheads suitable for delivery by ballistic missiles. In 2017, North Korea tested the Hwasong-15 intercontinental ballistic missile, a weapon with a range capable of reaching the continental United States. The United States mainland was now, for the first time, within range of North Korean nuclear weapons. Every American president since Bill Clinton has grappled with the North Korean nuclear problem. Every diplomatic approach, engagement, isolation, sanctions, negotiation, has failed to produce denuclearization. The regime has accepted food aid, economic concessions, and diplomatic recognition in exchange for promises of denuclearization, and then continued its nuclear program regardless. This is not because North Korean negotiators are irrational. It is because they understand, correctly, that their nuclear weapons are the one thing that makes North Korea impossible to ignore, impossible to attack, and impossible to coerce into the fundamental change that the United States and its allies actually want, which is not merely denuclearization, but the transformation or end of the Kim dynasty itself. The nuclear weapons are not a bargaining chip. They are the regime's life insurance policy. The defectors and the truth they carry. The most powerful evidence about what North Korea is, what it does to human beings, what it asks of them, what it takes from them, comes from the people who have left. Defecting from North Korea is not merely difficult. It is extraordinarily dangerous, requires crossing the Chinese border illegally, navigating a network of brokers and safe houses through China and Southeast Asia, and reaching a country where asylum can be sought, typically South Korea, which accepts all North Korean defectors as citizens under its constitution. An estimated 33,000 North Koreans have successfully defected to South Korea since the 1990s. Thousands more have defected to China and other countries, where many live in legal uncertainty, unable to access the protections of official refugee status because China classifies North Korean defectors as illegal economic migrants rather than refugees. For every successful defector, there are others who were caught, returned to North Korea by Chinese authorities, imprisoned in detention centers, subjected to interrogation, and sent to prison camps or executed, depending on what the authorities determined they had done or seen while outside North Korea. The defectors who have reached safety carry testimonies that span the full range of North Korean experience. Some were members of the elite, children of party officials who grew up in Pyongyang with access to foreign films, adequate food, and an awareness of the gap between official narrative and reality. Their defections were driven by political disillusionment, by encounters with the outside world that made the return to North Korea psychologically impossible. Others were ordinary citizens from provincial cities and rural areas, people who crossed the Chinese border initially out of desperation, seeking food or work during the famine years, and found themselves unable or unwilling to return. Others were survivors of the prison camps, people who had been imprisoned for reasons ranging from attempted escape to having a relative who defected to having inadvertently said something critical of the leadership. What unites their testimonies, across the vast differences in their backgrounds and experiences, is a picture of a society organized around fear. Not the ordinary fear that citizens of authoritarian states learn to navigate, but a deeper, more totalizing fear. The fear of a system that monitors everything, that holds your family responsible for your actions, that has no rule of law capable of protecting you from arbitrary power, and that has demonstrated, repeatedly and publicly, its willingness to do whatever is necessary to maintain its control. The outside world and the impossible choices. The international community has spent over 70 years trying to change North Korea's behavior, and failing. Sanctions have been imposed, tightened, and expanded. The UN Security Council has passed resolution after resolution. Diplomatic negotiations have been attempted, broken down, restarted, and broken down again. None of it has produced the fundamental change that North Korea's people need and deserve. The reasons are structural. China, North Korea's most important neighbor and economic lifeline, has consistently prioritized stability on the Korean peninsula over the human rights of North Korean citizens. A collapsed North Korea would send millions of refugees across China's border and potentially result in a unified Korea allied with the United States on China's doorstep. From China's strategic perspective, a stable, nuclear-armed North Korea, however repugnant, is preferable to that alternative. Without Chinese cooperation, sanctions cannot be made comprehensive enough to force genuine change. With Chinese cooperation, the regime's survival would be immediately threatened in ways that could produce unpredictable and potentially catastrophic responses from a nuclear-armed state. There are no good options for the outside world when it comes to North Korea. There are only choices between different kinds of bad outcomes, a reality that has paralyzed international policy for decades while the North Korean people continue to suffer. The people inside. Amid all the geopolitics, the nuclear brinkmanship, the diplomatic failures, and the horror of the prison camps, it is easy to lose sight of the 25 million human beings who live inside North Korea. They are not abstractions. They are not merely victims of a political system. They are people, with families, with friendships, with humor and love and grief and aspiration, living within the most controlled environment that any government has ever succeeded in creating. Many of them genuinely believe, to varying degrees, the narrative they have been raised with. Decades of comprehensive information control, beginning in childhood, are effective. The human mind adapts to the reality it is given. Others, particularly younger North Koreans who have accessed foreign media through the black market, live in a state of profound cognitive dissonance. They know the official narrative is false. They cannot say so. They perform loyalty while harboring doubt or disillusionment. They calculate, every day, how much risk they are willing to take with the truths they carry privately. And some of them, a small, courageous, desperate minority, risk everything to escape, to cross the river into China, to make the long, dangerous journey through broker networks to a country where they can finally say, out loud, what they know. Their voices are the most important ones in this story. Not the generals. Not the diplomats. Not the analysts in think tanks writing policy papers. The people who lived it. Who survived it. Who carried it out of that sealed country in their bodies and their memories and their nightmares. They are the truth that North Korea cannot impale, cannot starve, cannot disappear. This has been Silent Epoch Vault, where the past speaks, and the truth refuses to stay buried. If this documentary reached something in you, please like this video and subscribe to Silent Epoch Vault. Drop a comment below. What part of North Korea's reality shocked you most? Share this with someone who needs to understand what is happening inside those borders. Every share matters.